Having been born in 1985, I know not a world where He-Man does not exist. HydraCollectables is not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Hello and welcome to HydraCollectables, where we let our geek flag fly. My name's Luke and I'm your host, and today we are defending He-Man and the Masters of the Universe 2000X. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe 2000X is a really well made reboot of the original series by Filmation under the same name, only minus the 2000X. So it's worth noting between the two shows, between Filmation and the 2000X, there was another He-Man show kind of wedged in between that saw He-Man take his battle with Skeletor into the outer realms of space. This was really bad. It really was, and I'm not alone in saying that. There is a lot of people out there who really despised that version of the show. So instead, what 2000X decided to do was to bring things back down to Earth, or Eternia as it were, and go back to basics. This 2000X show expanded on the original universe set in place by the Filmation series, but also gave more in-depth backstories to characters. As well as this, they also introduced some well-loved characters from the toy line on screen for the first time. In my opinion, this was a very loyal, well put together, well executed show. It was made by fans, for the fans. The animation style of 2000X was certainly influenced by the comics at the time, and it actually works really well. The characters resemble their previous Filmation counterparts, while at the same time being modernised for the current audience. So those are my initial thoughts on the show. It was really well put together, really well executed, but let's take things a little bit deeper. Let's take a look at some of the things that I really like about the show, and some of the things that I don't like about the show. Some of the things that I like about this show include, but are not limited to, He-Man. He-Man himself has been upgraded. He-Man has that classic look armour that we all know and love, however slightly modernised to a more fitting time. He-Man has also had a haircut. Long gone are those days with the bowl cut upon his head. Instead we are given a form of mullet, something that more closely resembles that barbarian look. So having started with He-Man, let's talk about Prince Adam. Prince Adam probably has the most drastic changes for this series. Prince Adam is no longer the same beefy size as he is to He-Man. No, now we get a much more slender built, smaller character who barely resembles He-Man at all. Now you actually believe that people wouldn't recognise him being their superhero. So great changes for this show. I think that was really important to do in this day and age where they're no longer worried about the finances, because whether or not you guys know, He-Man was originally built in that form both for Prince Adam and He-Man himself for two reasons. Number one, the toys were all made out of the same figure form, and so therefore they would save money and it would be easier to produce the toys. And secondly, the Filmation studio was able to trace around characters, use cells that they had previously in order to continue the series as cheaply as possible. But, in this day and age, it's already a well-recognised brand and the money is there to put into it. Beastman and Trapjaw also got upgrades to their appearance. They look a lot more menacing and dangerous. Teela and the Sorceress now look a lot more alike given their history and connection within the storylines. And finally, Ram Man and Stratos look like fierce warriors and no longer look goofy in their attire. So those are just a handful of things that I really like about the show. Now let's talk about something that they pretty much kept the same. What they pretty much kept the same in this show was the original design of Skeletor. I mean, let's face it, this guy was badass back in the day, and there's not really much improvement that you can make to such a character. So of course, it's not just character appearances that make or break the show, it's also the writing, the storytelling, the plots. This show done some of the best storytelling that I have seen for the Masters of the Universe storylines in a really long time. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about those stories, but what I am going to say is that we get to find out a backstory to Skeletor, we find out who he is and how his face was disfigured, and also we get to see Prince Adam behave more with pride. He doesn't just run off and disappear like he did in the Filmation episodes. Instead, he tries to help out and fight these battles without resorting to the power of Grayskull right away. In fact, I'm fairly certain it's episode 1 of this very series where Teela basically mocks Prince Adam for his cowardness and running away and missing He-Man saving the day. So now that we've talked about the good, let's talk about the bad. Let's talk about the things that I don't like in this series. Now, to be fair, there are only two things that I personally dislike. The first being the mechanical sword. Now, I understand that this was actually created by the creators before they realized that this was going to be a reboot of the series and not a sequel to the series. So yeah, the story being that Prince Adam was made this sword by Man-at-Arms after Skeletor acquired the two halves of the power sword. This sword would work in much the same way, enabling Prince Adam to transform into He-Man, only with it being mechanical rather than supernatural. The second thing that I don't like about this show is a real big one for me personally. It's Battle Cat. I am a huge fan of Cringer / Battle Cat. He is my favourite beast or character of the entire Masters of the Universe franchise. And yet he was just wasted here. I don't think the armour looks particularly good. When he's Cringer, he's making these silly cat noises. It's not... He doesn't speak. He doesn't speak. Long gone are those days of like the cute wimpy cat that we see that transforms into this major tank of a beast that, you know, is something to be reckoned with. No, instead we have this wimpy household cat that should really be making noises like a tiger anyway, not a household cat. So yeah, I feel like that was really wasted. And that one for me at least just really hits hard. So those are my thoughts. This is my recommendation to you guys regarding the 2000X series. I don't want to go too much into spoiler territory with the storylines. I just want you guys to go and check it out. It was a really good show, especially for its time. I do believe that after that disaster that was the Space series, this one kind of got overlooked and people didn't really check it out. So this is more of a video of me saying, hey, it's out there, go check it out. I'm going to wrap up this video here, but before I go, I'm going to point you in the direction of this video right up here. This is kind of a part 2 to the part 1 that this video is, and in this video we are going to talk about the toy line that accompanied this series. So if you're interested in seeing those, why not check out that video? And yeah, let's end with a question of the day. Who is your favourite Masters of the Universe character, whether it be from the toy line or the Filmation series, or indeed this series that we are talking about right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And let's make it a little bit fun. Let's exclude He-Man or Skeletor. Who is your favourite of those sideline background characters that you just absolutely love? For me, I'm a big fan of Montana. I just love the character design. I know, granted, it's more of a She-Ra villain, part of the Horde army with Hordak, etc. But yeah, I really like that, especially in the classic line of figures. So yeah, don't miss out. Check it out. See that video over here for the action figure review. And until next time, I'll see you in another life. Take care.